in the virtual universe out there. Last week I somehow put the talk on my Facebook page, and then praise God for people like Ty and our webmaster who said, I'll fix it. So it stayed up on my page, got, I don't know, 500, and then we switched it on Wednesday and we got another 800 views. So we've changed the demographics, and in the demographics on Facebook, I can choose users of who read anything Louise Hay. We've had quite an increase in readership of and viewing of the actual talk. So Facebook does do some good profiling as far as when people choose what it is that they do. So that means we have more people looking at us and saying, yes. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be using that. I'm supposed to be using this. Okay, is it on? It is on. No, it's not on. All right, now we're on. Good morning. So, one night, there was a woman who ended up going to heaven and walked into God's office. And out the window of God's office, it was beautiful. The world was beautiful. There were green grass, blue waters. Sunday's my early morning, and so I'll get my cadence here soon. White clouds, beautiful mountains, and over on the table, there were a pair of glasses. And she thought, I bet you those are God's glasses. And so she put them on. And so she's looking around, and she looks out the window. However, what she sees is only poverty. She sees homeless people walking around, people hungry, standing in line, fighting, wars. And she's thinking, I can't bear it. And behind her she hears, take off my glasses. And so, because she does what she's told, she took off the glasses. And she's waiting to be in trouble. Because as a kid, she would have gotten in trouble, right? There's a grown woman, this is what happens with life. Well, God says to her, what did you see when you looked out the window? And she says, I saw hate and corruption and evil and yuck. God said, did you feel any love? Did you feel any compassion? None. I felt nothing, said the woman. I would destroy the whole world. It's that ugly. And God said to the woman, that's why you can't wear my glasses. You can't see what I see unless you feel what I feel. End of the story. How many of us need new glasses? Be honest, stay in church. Yeah, you watching news? Yeah, you read the Bible? Put on 2,000-year-old glasses when you're wearing the Bible. I really strongly suggest that when I'm teaching Bible classes. Or put on your Ray-Bans and know that they're on because everybody's light is so bright. And we're going to talk about that today. How can we continue to be the light of the world when, in fact, maybe we're listening to other people's opinions, we're watching the news, we look in the mirror and we don't say nice things to ourselves, or continue on with the rest of the story. But today we're going to celebrate life, and part of that is selfishly because I turned 61 on Friday. And so it's a birthday month. We are grateful for all birthdays, lots of July birthdays in this congregation. I've got many gifts from y'all. Thank you so much for cards, and it's humbling on Facebook to keep scrolling down and seeing people from high school. Like, hey, T, how you doing? I'm like, whoa, wow, blow my mind, yes? So social media does good things. People that I used to work with, people from old congregations, people from all over, because I had a different life before I was with you all. And so they check in. How wonderful is that? Lots of tears, of course, as you go through. And not because I'm 61, but wow, did I really make that impact on somebody? So know, because you are God expressing in this world, you are making an impact. That impact on somebody. So what I know and what I've experienced in my years of wisdom is that we are always on a spiraling growth path. So I used to work for a ministry called Spiral Pathways, and their logo was this beautiful spiral. And Charles Fulmer, our co-founder, says that we are always on an ever upward progressive spiral, unless we're not. And we get to choose by how it is we think. And that's what we've been talking about, haven't we, these last couple weeks? And you're probably thinking, is she going to talk about thinking again today? We could talk about it every week. We could talk about loving every week, right? Because we're in charge of our lives. How are we going to shift what we see on the news, what we're hearing from everybody else out there, knowing that we may not even want to agree or disagree in love? I have more of those forms for you, by the way. They're out on, I brought them this morning. Bev put them out on the welcome table. In case you're just wondering, how am I supposed to agree or disagree in love? Let the Mennonites show us yet again how to do it so gracefully. So what I know is, as I have been growing over the many years, what I also have realized that it's when I shift my consciousness that I have a closer walk with God, that I have a greater experience of God in my life. And that's what we're going to celebrate today. How do we do that? We look at what has happened, even up until this moment, what's happening now, which is us here, and us on social media, and then possibly what might be happening in the future. No control over what happened even this morning or certainly yesterday, let alone 60 years ago, right? All we have right now is this moment, which is why it's called the present, and it's a gift. And we have no idea, except for when we make stuff up, about what's going to happen in the future, right? So we start with valuing what has happened up until now. So I invite you all to breathe for a moment. The value of our past, Fillmore says, is the incredible nature of understanding the gratitude for this now moment. Everything that we've gone through has brought us to today, brought us to unity. And that probably might have been something a little different than what you might have scripted had you written the script yourself, yes? So we're grateful for today, and we're going to look a little bit at, okay, so what did happen that brought me to any church or any closer walk with God? And how is it then that we're going to stay on this path? So I was 28, getting divorced in a Catholic family. Yeah. That's enough said for that, right? Talked to my uncle who married me, and I said, I'm getting divorced. And he said, let your light shine, Therese Ann. God loves you. It's like, what? I said to my dad, what's he talking about? God loves me. I'd never heard that in my life at 28. And let my light shine. Up until that moment, I actually believed life was tough and then you die. Imagine how pretty that was as a young girl. Yeah, young lady. And that shifted as I got and found unity. And what? God loves me. So then I go to a church 3 weeks after my uncle dies, Unity in Chicago on Tome, and the minister says that. Tears. And afterwards I said to him, my uncle told me that before he died. He goes, well, it's the truth. And I said, I've never heard that God loved me. He said, well, now you have. Now you can't forget it, nor do you get to ignore it. So then, that moment, now I know, started my spiritual path. Had I known I was going to be on a journey, I might have bought different shoes, right? A cute handbag. Brought my hair tie. I'm not sure, right? Get a cute dress. Who knew that I would be on this journey that would then be my life, right? So if you haven't started that journey, Today's the day. If you're on it, do you need some new accessories possibly? How are you sprucing up your walk with God? Take a moment and breathe into gratitude for all that has happened up until now. Every single thing. I know about my life, and it's taken a lot of gratitude to be able to say, okay, that was all for me. Thankful for the therapists, thankful for the coaches, thankful for friends, yes. And I don't know your situation. My situation might have been different. Most of them are deeply challenging, yes, and it's pain that pushes us. And that's what I know from spiral dynamics is life pushes us and spirit pulls us. So we've been pushed into situations, maybe dragged into situations, right? And what I'm saying is now we have a new way of being with it. We get to go, okay, thanks for all that, and now I'm done with y'all. Done with those thoughts, done with all of that. Get to gratitude. Because as we're grateful for what's been, we're able to stay present to what is now. And then open our arms and our hearts and our minds. Go hair shopping. Right? So you look sassy when you want to. Be grateful for what got us to our spiritual path, Fillmore says, because it prepares us to be deeply grateful for what is now. And that's what I was able to do as I sat. Everybody's like, what are you doing for your birthday? Basically nothing. Because I wanted, besides the board meeting, which we got done in an hour, woohoo, that was the best present, but to be with myself and to be grateful. To be grateful for 32 years of living as a truth student in Unity. To every year, no matter how life was pushing me, to have a closer walk with God. So some of you know this and some of you don't. In the 20s, what I was doing was publishing. In the 20s, I was doing advertising and marketing for newspapers and magazines, mostly business to business. And then as I grew into my 30s, I became a publisher of magazines in the metal industry, copper, brass, aluminum, steel, and not only in America, all over the world. Uneducated, I had not gone to college yet, and I was all that in 3 bags of chips, not just 2. However, what I didn't have was a relationship with God. I didn't really have, I was just getting that. I got to Unity at 28. So by my mid-30s, as I was really having my spiritual awakening, I realized, wow, I don't want all this. Lots of money, lots of jewelry, lots of, big cars, big travel, big, all of those things. Not that any of those things were bad, but that's how I identified Therese. That didn't work for Therese. And so at 39, I turned in my golden handcuffs and followed my path to be working for God. I had no idea what that meant. My father was like, you're what? Therese Ann, sit down. What are you doing? I said, I'm going to go to school. He's like, for what? You've already accomplished everything. You're a publisher of magazines. I said, those are titles, Dad. That's not who I want to be. I want to be somebody who gives back. And I said, and you're the one that taught me that, Dad. And so it was okay then, right? So I know what Unity has provided me is grace. To walk through all the things that I've walked through, the many valleys, right? Don't build a condo in the valley, right? You just keep walking through them. And if you are in hell, run through it. Don't stay there, right? If it gets hot, so to speak. I also learned, and I know I've shared this with you, that I thought, and this is how I got out of tithing, because I thought once money goes in the bank, it never comes out. That's what I was taught as a kid. So I had lots of money in the bank, and I wasn't tithing. So I apologize again for all the stock market crashes that happened on my behalf. That gave me the learning of, wait a minute, who's my source? Where's my source? God's my source. And then I began learning how to tithe and learn how to live, knowing that I could never outgive God. That's probably the biggest thing I learned from Edwin Gaines. I was probably 41 years old, had no income because I had quit corporate America, and she had come to Unity of Fox Valley, and I said to her, so I'm not working right now, and she said, so? And I said, well, then how would I tithe? And she said, well, why don't you tithe on what you have in the bank? I said, because it's in the bank. And once it goes in the bank, it doesn't ever come out of the bank until, of course, you're old and then you need to spend it. Right? Can't you hear that in your mind's eye? Yeah? Mm-hmm. She said, okay, well, you could leave it there, honey. You know how she talks, sweetheart. And we'll see how long that stays. So I've since spoken with her about all of that last year when I got to be with her and we walked on fire and did all of those things. And she said, yeah, I'm glad you were listening. And I'm sorry you didn't listen sooner. And so what she encouraged me to do is nothing's lost in spirit. So the money that was lost in the stock market comes back in different ways. Birthday gifts, sale items, gas at $2.37 instead of $2.67. Count those as your blessings, Therese. And that's how all of that lost in spirit money will come back to you. And it has, and it continues to. So I know as my journey of awakening happened is that I started to change my mind, and I'm still every day working on that old thinking, right? What we call stinking thinking. And then all of a sudden I realized, holy shift, I am a different person. Holy shift has happened in Therese. And I don't have to be what I thought I was supposed to be or what other people think I'm supposed to be. I can be who God and I talk about I'm supposed to be every day, right? Anybody else have that kind of experience? Like, glad you're not anymore? I remember when my brother, I don't know, I must have been in my 30s, and he's like, you're not screaming. I said, what? He said, you're not screaming. We're in the car. We're in Chicago traffic on the Eisenhower. Anybody else been there? I mean, it's HE double hockey sticks, yeah. He's like, you're not screaming. I'm like, what do you mean not screaming? He goes, you always have screamed in the car. Your whole life you screamed in the car. I said, I did? He's like, it's so pleasant to be with you. I don't remember being that person now, thank God. And it's been 20 years at least since then. So I can imagine I was not a lot of fun to hang around with, right? So today is the present. Today is the gift. I wouldn't be here as the minister of Unity Spiritual Center of Hilton Head had I not gone through all of that. If I had not haggled with David Krieger over, are you sure you think I'm the one? And he's like, of course you're the one, why aren't you here? And I said, because I can't see it. He said, we see it. I'm like, oh, okay. Right? A little hard-headed sometimes, yes? So the thoughts change, which then changes the shift in my consciousness and the way I live my life. I like to say to people, it's my birthday, and everybody knows it is. I have a birthday month. I told every store I've been in. I told every restaurant I've been in. I don't need another piece of cake ever in my whole life. And everybody's like, well, why are you so happy about it? I said, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? And my dad would always say, I can't wait till tomorrow because I get better looking every day. I don't say that. But I remember those things. That's what I did on my birthday. How would my dad be celebrating me today? What would my mom be doing? Opening the cards from the grandbabies, you know, and my little 5-year-old who's writing I haven't seen, writing Nana, and there it is in the card. Yeah. So are you looking for the gifts that are always coming to you? Are you letting your light shine? And so I have a little script, a little adventure for us to understand a little bit more about how important it is that we let our light shine, our astonishing light. Whether anybody agrees with you or not, know today you are the light of the world and your job is to let it shine. So there's an example I want to show you about a minister comes to church one day and there's a blackout. In the closet, fumbling around, calling one of the assistants named Michael and said, Michael, can you help me find some candles? I've got to get everything lit up before everybody gets here. So she's digging in the box of candles, picks one up, looking at it, and I, as the minister, hear a voice.
Now, hold it right there.
Who said that? Who said that?
I did.
Who are you? Where are you? What are you?
I'm a candle. Can't you tell?
Yes. And?
Please, 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 don't take me out of here.
What do you mean, don't take you out of the closet? You're a candle. Your job is to give light to the world. It's dark out there in the sanctuary, and church is going to start. I need to take you out there so you can share your light.
But I'm not ready to go out there. I need more preparation.
Preparation? What preparation?
Just that, more preparation. You see, I really need to research this job of light giving, so I won't go out, make a bunch of mistakes, and make a fool of myself. You'd be surprised how distorted the glow of an untrained candle can be.
An untrained candle? What? All right then. You know, you're not the only candle in the box. I'm just going to get another one.
We aren't going either.
What did you say? What did you say? What did you all say, candles?
We aren't going either.
What do you mean you aren't going either? Your job is to be a candle. Your job is to lighten the dark places.
Well, that may be what you think. You may think we have to go. But I'm busy. I'm meditating on the importance of light.
You're meditating on the importance of light? What? Well, I'm wondering, candle number 3, are you going to stay too?
I'm waiting to get my life together. I'm not stable.
You're waiting to get your life together. You're not stable enough. You look good to me. What about you, candle number 4? You're my last hope.
I'd like to help, really, I would. But lighting the darkness is not my gift. You see, I'm a singer. I sing to other candles to encourage them to burn more brightly.
You sing? What? You're supposed to light the world. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So do you see yourself in any of the 4 candles? A gift of singing, possibly? Yes? You're too busy because you're meditating on being the light? Or wait a minute, you got to get your act together. Or wait for it, you have to prepare to be the light. Anybody? Yep. And I'm sure there might be some of you at home as well that don't get it. There's no preparation. There's no studying. You don't even need a big lighter. You just appear. You be you in the world. And there is where the light comes forth. The astonishing light of who you are. But what we know, for some of us, I think, and for most of the world, I think there's a 90%, or I don't know, maybe Pat, you know, 98%, that have been taught to value or devalue ourselves by what we've accomplished or what we've accumulated. Yeah? I did. I was. I used to. We have been taught to value or devalue ourselves based on how much money we have or how much education we have. Yes? We might even have been taught to value or devalue ourselves by the way others see us, how others evaluate us. Remember, evaluations only happen when you're in a job situation. So today we celebrate the light that each of us is. A friend of mine said, you know what I love about you, Therese, is you act as if every day is your birthday. And then she did like an emoji like this on Facebook. It's true. Why not? Have I had sad times? Yes. You know I've had sad times. Do I have sad times? Yes, I have sad times. And I don't lose my faith. And I don't give up. It doesn't mean I don't swear. Ty, close your ears. And when it's appropriate and with appropriate people, I express myself, I hit pillows, I scream, I yell. Obviously, I used to yell in the car all the time at drivers in Chicago. Imagine how pleasant that was. Or did it do any good? Of course it did not do any good. Each of us is an expression of the light of God. I don't know if you need to get some new fancy clothes for your path that you're walking as you continue to be enlightened, because you cannot not be enlightened. Every time you come to this facility, whether it's a class during the week or somewhere we may have something outside of this facility, or on Sunday, and you allow yourself to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, as Romans tells us in 12:2. How often do you think of yourselves as the light of the world? Not from an ego standpoint, but from, man, I got a job to do. I'm not going to be here next week, so I brought my food. 2 bags on the way out the door for you. And like I told you, I bought Oreo cookies because that's what people need when they need food. Not just beans, not just meat, right? So that's me, and they're probably like, oh, that crazy lady, she's giving again. Good. So we're in a New Thought church. That's what we're called, New Thought, in the genre of religion. And I'm wondering, when was the last time you had one? Yeah? Certainly not by watching the news. I know that. Yeah? So I posted something earlier this week on Facebook that challenged a few people in my life. I don't usually take a stand on Facebook on things, and I thought, well, this is kind of not so much a stand, and it was a stand. I had to quit kidding myself, and my sister-in-law said to me, I don't believe that, Therese. I don't believe it. And so I sat with it, and I took it down, because you can delete your own posts, right? So I deleted that, and then I texted her, and I said, thank you for calling me higher, for understanding your point of view, and here's what I still believe to be true. And she wrote back and said, I agree. And then I also disagree. Happy birthday. So we get to agree and disagree in love. We don't get to be mad about it, because mad only hurts ourselves, hurts our blood pressure, hurts our heartbeats and everything. So the song, This Little Light of Mine, doesn't say, this little light, I hope it comes true in me. It doesn't say, this little light, maybe you have it, but I don't think I do. It doesn't say, this little light isn't there for me. We don't get to change the truth of the words that someone wrote. That is our truth. And this is not a unity song. This is a long time song, This Little Light of Mine. So let's sing it one more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So our future, we've honored the past, we've celebrated now. The future depends on you. How many batteries are in your light bulb and your flashlights when you're out at the dark taking a walk? How many friends do you have that can help you with your dimmer switch when your own light isn't very bright? And how much time are you spending in gratitude, celebrating yourself for all that you've accomplished in the years you've lived? And I hope that this is even what Ty does at 9, right, Ty? You're 9? Yeah. That he says, oh, look what I've done already. I am the IT person at this lady's church. Actually, it's not my church, it's our church, right? But how great is that? How great is that? And he said when he was away, he's grateful for those who are filling in. Really? Okay. Can we be grateful? So take a moment, and I invite you to close your eyes as I read something that I don't know who wrote, and breathe into this moment. And if you're comfortable to put your hand in the person next to you, grab a hand, grab a shoulder. I put my hand in yours, and together we can do what we could never do alone. No longer is there a sense of hopelessness. No longer must we each depend on our own unsteady willpower. We are all together now, reaching out our hands for the power and the strength that we share that is greater than our own. As we join our hands, we join our hearts, and we find love and understanding beyond our wildest dreams. And so it is, and so we let it be. And we move into a time now of meditation. And if you need to let your hand go ahead and do that. Center yourself in your breathing and let go anything that's on your lap. And for all of you at home watching, get yourself settled in right where you are. And take a moment to breathe. We use our breath as a tool in unity, as part of our meditation practice, to move from our head to our hearts, to get out of our mind and come to our senses as we open our hearts yet even wider. In the realization and the acknowledgement that we are the light of the world. Each of us. All of us. Even people who don't come to unity. Yes. Every single person, every place in the whole wide world is a light. Each the very beloved of God. Whatever God is, take a closer walk with what your understanding is. Remind yourself daily, sometimes hourly, and sometimes by the minute, I am because God is. Tell yourself as you're brushing your teeth in the morning, I love you. Look in the mirror and put a silly face on as you're scrubbing those teeth. Grateful for all that they do. Grateful for the toothbrush that helps us keep them clean, yes? It's always the little things. The bits of dark chocolate that show up in honor of your birthday, that bring a smile to your face. We breathe in the gratitude. And we let it surround us. The gratitude that has brought us to this now moment for everything we've been through. Grateful for some of those things to be well on their way. And for today, for right now. For the technology of Facebook that allows us to be live and yet be here together with each other in community. Knowing that as you go out, you transform lives. And so does the talk on Facebook. So does the talk on our website. And so for a moment, before we go into the silence, say to yourself, I am loved, and I matter. Say it quietly to yourself, I am loved, and I matter. And we take this knowledge into the silence, and we let it be in the silence. And as we bring our attention back to this time and this place, we're grateful for all of those whose shoulders we stand upon. All of those that have made Unity Spiritual Center of Hilton Head what it is today. And for all of our blessings, seen and unseen, we are grateful. And so it is, we let it be.